So you're looking to make the best Kazuha build possible in the game? That's fine, don't worry. This build guide is based on something that you might be able to call math. With that being said, make sure you go hit that subscribe button, hit that analytical update to keep us satiated on the analytics side on the channel. If you want to see more stuff, you know where we're at. So let's get right into it, guys. If you want to see the other videos, how swirl actually works, as well as the actual weapons tier list for Kazuha, we will be mentioning them in here, but if you want to be a little bit more of a math nerd, check out those other videos on the channel that were put out this week as well. So let's start right in it with his artifact selection here. Now, artifact selection here, no matter if you're doing support, full EM, you're doing a big damage build with crit chance and crit damage, is that what you want to go for? Viridescent Veneer for AoE damage, full 4-piece is what you're wanting to do here. Now, the 2-piece does buff your animal damage, that's awesome, and then the 4-piece here increases your swirl damage and also decreases opponents' elemental resistance of whatever you swirled by 40%, which is also going to help his personal damage. Even if you're not stacking EM, you're not trying to do a bunch of damage, swirl actually is going to be doing a large amount of damage since 1.6, even if you're doing a full DPS build. That's gonna help you there. But on top of that, two of his skills right here, his E and his Q, his elemental skill and elemental burst, they both have elemental absorption. So when you swirl, right, the element, say you swirl pyro, it's gonna reduce pyro resist, and it's also going to boost the damage of this part of either your elemental burst, the good old Kazuha slash, or your elemental skill here, which I am not going to try to name, as you will actually use this skill in the plunge here from his ascension also has elemental absorption. So that's why the 4-piece here for him, Viridescent Veneer set, is what you're aiming for. Set substats, what do we need if you're doing big DPS? If you haven't picked up the algorithm by now, you're looking for substat wise crit chance and crit damage. If you get a little bit of EM here or there, that's gonna help you out with your swirls, but you're looking for crit chance, crit damage, and attack percent. Try to get at least 50% crit chance. Try to keep a 2-to-1 ratio, so you have 60 crit chance, 120 crit damage, and then add a little bit more on either side there. 2-to-1 ratio is mathematically the highest, but if you're just starting out, you can't follow that 2-to-1 ratio all the way up. Get like 50-60 crit chance in your substat slash main stat stats, and then work on it for there. Now, for the full DPS build on the sands, guys, attack percent sands, you're looking for an animo goblet and then either a crit chance or a crit damage. Circle it there, talking about what we just did with maintaining that 2-to-1 ratio. Now, for a full EM support build where you'd be doing all of your damage from swirl, you're looking for a EM elemental mastery, sands, goblet, as well as circlet. You're also looking for elemental mastery in the substats as well. On top of that, if you want to go the distance, you can also get crit chance and crit damage on your EM based Kazuha, because while you're not doing the majority of your damage from his skills, they do have nice multipliers. So if you can get him a decent crit rate, a decent crit damage, something like 50% crit chance, 100% crit damage would be one of the best sort of substat ratios you could get while still maintaining EM on everything there. That's definitely what you'd be looking for that full EM based. Now, weapon selection, we've done this video already. We've ranked all of the good weapons here, but for you guys right there, the 5 stars, if you're looking for an EM build, Freedom Sworn or the Iron Stinger are both fantastic weapons. The Alley Flash is okay, but it will lose out to the Iron Stinger, especially if you actually get hit while wearing the Alley Flash. Or use the Iron Stinger instead for that full big elemental mastery bonus there. For the weapons for the DPS build, if you are in a big AoE circumstance, you can proc the passive on it. The Black Cliff Slasher is very, very, very strong. It's going to give you a ton of attack percent with that proc. It also has crit damage on it. Exceptionally powerful weapon there for you. Another weapon to think about there, if you're really looking for some crit chance, the Black Sword is okay, although all it really offers you as the support elemental damage character at C0 that Kazuha is just that crit chance. You're not really normal attacking with that much, right? You're not really charge attacking with that much. You don't have the elemental infusion from his Constellation 6 at C0. If you are at C6, it'll be a good weapon for him as well. But as the majority of your damage isn't coming from normal and charge attacks, if you aren't using him at C6 with this weapon, if you're using him just as that sub DPS, trying to do damage with his elemental skills, elemental burst, it's going to be one of the worst weapons to use for him in the game. Now, another surprisingly fantastic weapon for DPS builds of this character is actually going to be none other than the Lion's Roar. The Lion's Roar is a fantastic weapon, has attack percent on it, and also boosts your damage, everything you do except swirl reactions, but everything else that you do by 20 to 40%. Now there is a caveat there. They have to be affected by pyro or electro. So if you're running him with one of the characters we'll talk about when you come to teams with him, Beidou or Official, it's a fantastic weapon for him because you can be swirling that electro everywhere, and so you're going to be able to do a bunch of bonus damage with the Lion's Roar, especially if you have it at R5. But at R1 it's still a fantastic weapon, so look out for that one. Definitely beats the Black Sword in the sort of support DPS archetype. Now for 5-star weapons, there's 2 standout ones for a DPS build. That is going to be none other than the Primordial Jade Cutter or the Summit Shaper. Now if you are using like Zhongli in your team, you have him equipped with the shield. The Summit Shaper is a fantastic weapon. However, if they're both at the same refinement ranks, R1 for both or R5 for both, they're literally about the same amount of damage. They're right on top of each other, so there's no real wrong way you can use this weapon. Although Primordial Jade Cutter, easier to build, has 44% crit rate. It's kind of a dumb weapon. Basically, in Genshin Impact, it makes building him as a sub DPS so much easier. So if you have access to that one, slap it on him, and you're going to be going to town with some very nice crit chance and crit damage numbers between your weapon and your artifacts. Now guys, when it comes to making teams for him, it's very easy. If you had a team before where you saw someone use Venti, you can more or less just substitute Kazuha in that team, and you're going to be doing very powerful things. So like the Morgana team here, right? Ganyu, Morna, Venti, Diona, you can swap Kazuha with Venti. You have a little bit bigger of a field that's going to help you keep large enemies and large crowds gathered together and frozen for the duration of Mona's ultimate quite substantially there. Also gives you a nice crowd control. And then if you want to run a different freeze team, maybe take Mona out, put in Xingqiu, and then run instead of Ganyu, go ahead and run your good boy down here, Kea here, for the freeze team Kea build as well. You can do something of that nature. Now a popular EM team here is going to be the Electro Charge team that Venti was known to be a part of here, and this is the Animo Swirl Electro Charge party. So you have your Animo character, you can put in Venti, or you can go ahead and put in your boy Big Bad Inazuma Stalin Samurai himself in here with Kazuha, and then you run Official, Beidou, and Xingqiu, and this works by allowing you to spread electrocharged over and over and over and over, and it does heaps of damage even in 2 target circumstances. So very powerful team. Iteration of this team does use Tartaglia as the big DPS, and you have your swirler in the form of Kazuha in here as well, and that's going to do a lot of cool stuff for you. This is basically for an EM based build, so if you are EM Kazuha, run one of these 2 teams. You won't be disappointed. He's going to do a ton of damage with swirl and be buffing up your other characters' elemental damage at the same time. And also, as with any other animal support, if you want to put him in there as your animal character for a melt or vaporize based team, whether it be Diluc or Hu Tao or whatever it is that you're melting or vaporizing with, he's going to be fantastic there for you as well. Couple small notes about his E. You don't necessarily need to use the whole diversion to do a large plunge attack. The plunge attacks do pretty much, I think, exactly the same amount of damage here, all things said and done and considered. As you can see, 6k, 8k, so keep that in mind. You do have a larger cooldown if you do use the hold version. However, what does happen here is the hold version has a larger AoE, so it can pull people from farther away, like this guy all the way up in there. Then we come down and we bring the little whirlwind vortex, little suck zone, as you want to call it. Now if we had used the press version, we don't nearly get to pull people from as far away, right? That guy didn't get pulled at all, but he did get pulled from a similar distance from the hold version of the skill. And that's it, guys. You guys should be well equipped in this fast little guy to use Kazuha in both ways. If you guys want to learn more about Swirl or the actual weapons, tier list video where all the math is, and that is shown there, go check that video out. Until then, guys, have fun, and I'm out.